Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Hi, welcome to special edition of podcast on defense for the year 2024. In this episode, I, Dilip Singh from Hindu Business Line, will be speaking to our guest, Major General Dr. Ashok Kumar, retired, who is a Kargil veteran, a prolific writer and author, and Director General of Center for Joint Warfare Studies, which is a tri-services think tank. Major General Kumar will apprise us briefly what 2024 meant for the Indian defense sector. Before that, let me tell you that apart from continued record defense production and exports and significant acquisitions to bridge capability gaps across armed forces, 2024 is turning out to be a year for recalibration of military ties for strategic autonomy. The breakthrough in border talks with China through the October Accord was the high point of this year, indicating India is willing to rethink its defense ties with the Beijing to adjust to growing socio-economic and geopolitical developments. Similarly, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh's visit to Moscow early this month is being seen as an attempt from India to somewhat dehyphenate United States in its military dealings with the Putin administration. Now let's hear from Major General Dr. Ashok Kumar on how defense sector performed this year and the prospects ahead. Sir, would you agree that 2024 has been an year for recalibration of defense engagements?
Absolutely, Dilip. You have to see number of things which have happened in 2024. Firstly, on the geopolitical front, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine has continued. In fact, in previous year, it came to some kind of stalemate. But in this year, again, the Russia on one hand has made substantial progress. But at the same time, Ukraine has also captured its Kursk region. And therefore that issue is continuing. For India, it has been a major challenge because India wanted to get a balanced approach of imports, technology transfer, and its development of forces and multilateral engagements. And therefore, it was trying to maintain a strategic autonomy between Russia and USA and rest of the world. But because of sanctions imposed on Russia by USA and the Western countries, it was a difficult task. But India is still went ahead with its AS-400 missile purchase. It still went ahead with the import of Russian oil, and still it avoided any sanctions from United States of America or the NATO countries. And of late, India has again engaged with Russia more aggressively because in our equipment inventory, approximately 75% plus equipment is of the import origin, and out of that, close to 68% is from the Russian basket. And therefore, it is very important that balanced relationship is maintained with Russia because despite all our efforts, the indigenization of defense manufacturing of equipment will take time, minimum a decade, if not more. And so that way, this has been a good year for India. Only was the continued problem with transgressions in Eastern Ladakh by China. But in a deliberate development, on 21st October this year, the agreement has been reached, and the two problematic areas where there was a difficulty in understanding each other's viewpoint in Depsang and Demchok, those were resolved. The patrolling has been already restored in Depsang. It is going to take place in Demchok also. Other places also, we are gradually reverting to pre-2020 April position. And in fact, as I speak to you today, yesterday we had the special representatives meeting in China, and major 6 agreements have taken place, and there has been a positive approach by both the countries to resolve their issues. So India's capability to be able to maintain strategic autonomy between USA and Russia, its capability to now play down the border skirmishes which were continuing with China. It has the defense forces have actually got a more calibrated approach time in terms of resource mobilization, and they can undertake major restructuring when those things can be announced anytime in 2025. So I think the current 2024 has been a major gainer despite so many challenges in Russia, Ukraine, in Western Asia, and South China Sea, and other parts of the world.
So, how India stands to benefit militarily with immediate threats from China waning away? Hope that Trump's second innings at White House would be better for the nation and defense ties with Russia getting fresh energy and purpose.
Okay, that's very pertinent question because we have to see it very closely. Once this agreement was reached on 21st October 24, followed by what was agreed yesterday, we are gradually moving towards the April 2020 position, and a state of peace and tranquility on the borders is on the cards. And therefore, to checkmate this kind of situation which emerged consequent to transgressions of China in Eastern Ladakh, both the sides, China as well as India had mobilized more than 50,000 troops being close to each other. And these are in high altitude area, having the varying impact on the soldiers. Of course, lesser on India, more on China because we have the Siachen Glacier kind of exposure and our troops are more strong in these areas of war fighting. And expenditure related, which were going as part of maintaining such a large body of troops. So all that sequentially with understanding may come back to the normal position, and the funds so generated can be utilized more constructively for purchase of quality weapons, for investment in research and development, for investment in dual use infrastructure in border areas, to ensure that all border posts have the all weather connectivity throughout the year, and the capacity creation. While doing all that, good window has come to India's way, but at the same time, India has to be cautious and alert because China, despite all its actions, agreement, and commitments, it cannot be trusted. The way it has done multiple activities in past, despite agreements in it has done in 1967 in Thula Chola area. It has done in 1987 in Samdurangchu. It has done 2017 the Doklam, and in 2020 it did incursions in Eastern Ladakh. And therefore, in the entire border area of the where we have the line of actual control, the capacity to remain alert, to be prepared for any eventuality has to be there. We can't afford to keep our guard down, but we have also got the golden opportunity to restructure our forces and resources for making our defense forces more potent for future conflicts, our future role in the regional and international environment.
Right, sir. I think that's a good way of putting it of what 2024 meant for us. But sir, taking to the final question, what do you think next year has in store for India in terms of defense?
Well, as of now, I will like to term this as my expectations based on what has happened and what is the direction in which the defense forces are moving. I think it's matter of time that somewhere in 2025, India will announce theaterization, for which work is continuing since long. India has to face China as its principal adversary. China has already announced and executed theaterization way back in 2015. So it's, I think, maybe a decade later, but next year, India will be announcing its theaterization. Second, India is working very hard in ensuring that the bulk of its equipment becomes indigenous. It is a biggest challenge because in case of conflict, your sources of imports may not be always reliable. The other countries which may have those equipment, they charge multiple times the initial cost. So to have the strategic autonomy and to preserve the national will, it's mandatory in a way that you manufacture bulk of your equipment in your own country. And with your weapons, then you can use your own tactics. Otherwise, if you are using equipment of ex import, so you are forced to adapt to the Western or Russian tactics, which may not suit Indian conditions, because the conditions in which we have to fight with China on the line of actual control are with Pakistan, predominantly in Jammu and Kashmir on line of control. Entire area is mountainous and glaciated, and therefore our tactics has to be more indigenous, which is possible only with the indigenous equipment. So there's a lot of focus has already taken place in 2024. More and more will happen on that in the coming year. Private sector in defense manufacturing has already been given a lot of support. That support is going to continue growing in the 2025 as well. India has also concentrated on defense exports as against exporting only the normal equipments. It is now exporting the BrahMos missiles, guns, and the rocket launchers. And there are many and many countries which are lining up for these exports. And I'm confident in the next year at least the exports will touch somewhere 50 to the tune of 50,000 crore. And of course, our individual capability will further grow by multiple bilateral engagements, minilateral engagements, and multilateral engagements. There will be strategic relationships which will be going, and we, in any case, have become a lead nation for global South. And with that, in coming years, there will be a lot of good relationship and sports to a number of these countries. Because India can be trusted, it is not some country which goes against the desire of the its friends. It doesn't believe in the expansionist agenda like China. It doesn't believe in the debt trapping like what China does. So I think militarily, the India is poised for its golden era in 2025 and beyond.
So thanks for joining us and wishing you a happy Christmas and a new year ahead. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Devlip. Thank you very much to you and your team as well.